For most of modern agricultural history, farmers were told one simple story. If you could eliminate variability, you could eliminate loss. Variability in yield, variability in soil fertility, variability in rainfall response. Anything unpredictable became labeled as inefficiency. And inefficiency, according to modern agribusiness logic, was unacceptable. So the industry introduced a solution that sounded almost scientific destiny: precision agriculture. GPS-guided tractors promised perfect rows. Variable rate application promised perfect fertilizer placement. Yield monitors promised perfect decision-making. Suddenly, farming wasn't about observation anymore. It was about optimization. Technology companies didn't sell machinery. They sold certainty. They told farmers that data would finally remove guesswork from agriculture. That sensors could see what human experience could not. That algorithms could outperform decades of field intuition. And honestly, it sounded reasonable. Margins were tightening. Input prices were rising. Labor was disappearing. Precision farming appeared at exactly the right moment, offering control in an increasingly uncontrollable business. But here's the uncomfortable question almost nobody asked. If precision farming works exactly as promised, why are operating costs still rising faster than farm profitability? Across North America, farms adopted guidance systems, auto steer, satellite mapping, drone imaging, soil scanning, telemetry platforms, subscription analytics, cloud-based management tools. Each upgrade promised incremental efficiency gains. 2% here, 3% there, 5% improvement in input placement. Individually, every improvement made sense. Collectively, something strange began happening. Debt levels increased, machinery replacement cycles shortened, software subscriptions multiplied, operational complexity exploded, and yet, net margins continued shrinking. Farmers became more precise, but not more profitable. The industry's explanation was always the same. You just need the next upgrade. Better sensors, better analytics, better integration. Precision agriculture quietly transformed from a productivity tool into an escalation cycle. Every season required new calibration, new licenses, new compatibility updates, new capital investment, and slowly, the farm stopped adapting to biology. Instead, biology was forced to adapt to machinery. Fields became systems to be managed digitally rather than ecosystems to be understood physically. Soils were analyzed chemically but ignored biologically. Organic matter declined while fertilizer accuracy improved. Microbial life collapsed while application maps became more detailed. And this contradiction sits at the center of modern agriculture. We can now apply nitrogen within inches of accuracy to soils increasingly unable to retain it. We can map yield variability down to square meters without asking why variability exists in the first place. Precision farming measures symptoms with extraordinary accuracy. But measurement is not correction. A perfectly placed input inside a degraded biological system is still inefficient. And this is where the myth begins. Because precision agriculture assumes that loss comes from poor placement. But what if the real loss comes from soil dysfunction itself? If soil biology is weak, nutrients leak. If structure collapses, water runs off. If microbial networks disappear, plants require constant external feeding. Under those conditions, precision doesn't eliminate inefficiency. It simply distributes inefficiency more accurately. Imagine managing a leaking bucket. Precision farming helps you pour water exactly in the center. But it never fixes the holes. And every year, farmers are told to pour faster. More fertilizer precision, more chemical timing accuracy, more technological oversight. Meanwhile, input dependency increases. Nitrogen rates rise, herbicide resistance expands, fuel consumption climbs, equipment costs surge beyond historical norms. The promise was efficiency. The outcome was dependency masked as progress. And here's the part rarely discussed openly. Precision agriculture works best in already healthy systems. But modern industrial farming increasingly operates on biologically exhausted soils. So instead of amplifying natural productivity, technology compensates for ecological decline. The tractor becomes smarter because the soil becomes weaker. And compensation is expensive, extremely expensive. Today, many farms operate machinery fleets worth millions of dollars, guided by satellites orbiting Earth, collecting terabytes of data every season, while profit margins depend on weather luck and commodity prices beyond their control. That's not control, that's technological sophistication layered over structural vulnerability. Precision farming did not fail because technology is bad. It failed because it addressed the wrong problem first. Agriculture chased accuracy before restoring resilience. And accuracy without resilience creates fragility. The more precise the system becomes, the less tolerant it is to disruption. A delayed rain event, a fertilizer price spike, a supply chain interruption. Suddenly, the highly optimized farm struggles more than the biologically buffered one. Because optimization removes redundancy, and redundancy is how nature survives. Older farmers often describe fields that once required fewer inputs, crops that tolerated stress better, soils that held moisture longer. Those memories are often dismissed as nostalgia. But what if they were observations of biological efficiency before technological compensation took over? What if modern precision systems are not increasing efficiency, but hiding the growing cost of ecological decline? Because the real operating loss may not appear on machinery spreadsheets. It appears slowly: reduced organic matter, increased input dependency, declining response to fertilizer, greater volatility between seasons, loss disguised as modernization, and the industry rarely questions this trajectory. Because precision agriculture generates enormous economic momentum, equipment manufacturers benefit, software companies benefit, input suppliers benefit, data platforms benefit. Everyone profits from complexity, except the balance sheet of the average farm operation. So the critical question emerges: are farmers becoming more efficient, or simply becoming more precise at managing an increasingly inefficient biological system? This question changes everything, because if the foundation of productivity is biological health, then no amount of digital precision can replace it. And the next phase of agriculture will not be decided by better satellites or smarter algorithms. It will be decided by whether farmers recognize what technology cannot measure: life in the soil. That realization begins where most precision conversations end, and it forces us to confront an uncomfortable possibility. The smartest machine on the farm may be distracting us from the most important system we stopped managing decades ago: the soil itself. Modern farming produces more data than ever before. Every pass across the field records something. Yield monitors track production by the second. Soil sensors measure nutrient variability. Satellite imagery evaluates plant vigor weekly. Telematics log fuel usage, engine load, and operational efficiency. Today, a farmer can look at a screen and see their entire operation translated into maps, graphs, and performance metrics. And that feels powerful, because data creates the sensation of control. When numbers move, decisions feel rational. When maps update, progress feels measurable. When dashboards glow green, operations appear efficient. But here's the dangerous assumption buried underneath precision agriculture. We assume that what is measured represents reality. It doesn't. Most precision systems measure output efficiency. Very few measure system health. Yield maps tell you where production was high or low. They do not tell you why. Input tracking tells you how accurately fertilizer was applied. It does not tell you whether fertilizer dependence increased. Machine analytics show fuel efficiency per acre. They do not show capital exposure per season. Precision agriculture measures performance inside the current system. It almost never questions whether the system itself is becoming more expensive to sustain. And that distinction matters more than most farmers realize. Because farms rarely fail from sudden collapse. They fail from compounding operational drag. Small increases in cost that stack quietly year after year. A slightly larger equipment payment. A slightly higher nitrogen requirement. A slightly narrower profit margin. Nothing alarming individually, catastrophic collectively. Precision dashboards are excellent at hiding this trend. Why? Because efficiency metrics improve even while profitability declines. A planter operating with sub-inch accuracy looks successful. A sprayer reducing overlap by 3% looks efficient. A combine producing detailed yield analytics looks advanced. But none of those metrics answer the only question that matters. Is the farm becoming financially lighter or heavier to operate? Across much of industrial agriculture, the answer has been clear for years. Heavier. Machinery costs now represent one of the largest fixed expenses on modern farms. Auto steer systems require upgrades. Sensors require calibration. Software platforms require subscriptions. Data ecosystems require compatibility investments. And technology ages faster than tractors ever did. A mechanical failure used to be repairable. A digital failure often requires replacement. Suddenly, operational efficiency depends not only on agronomy, but on firmware updates. The farm becomes partially hostage to technological obsolescence. And here's where precision agriculture quietly shifts from tool to dependency. Once integrated, stepping backward becomes nearly impossible. Equipment compatibility locks decisions. Data history locks platforms. Training investments lock workflows. Farmers aren't just buying machines anymore. They're entering ecosystems, and ecosystems extract ongoing cost. Meanwhile, yield variability still exists. Weather still dominates outcomes. Commodity markets still dictate revenue. So despite unprecedented technological precision, the largest risks remain uncontrollable. Which raises an uncomfortable reality. Precision farming reduces operational error, but it does not reduce systemic risk. And sometimes, it increases it. Highly mechanized farms require high annual throughput to justify capital investment. Equipment payments do not pause during poor seasons. Software subscriptions do not shrink during drought. Loan structures assume consistent productivity. When biology underperforms, financial pressure accelerates. Older farming systems carried biological buffers. Higher organic matter stored water. Diverse soil microbiology stabilized nutrient cycling. Fields absorbed stress naturally. Modern systems often replace those buffers with inputs and technology. Instead of resilience, farms rely on intervention timing. Miss a spray window. Delay fertilizer application. Experience unexpected rainfall. The system loses efficiency immediately. Precision increases sensitivity. And sensitive systems are fragile systems. Yet yield maps still look impressive. Data still flows. Reports still suggest optimization. Because precision agriculture excels at documenting performance, even when underlying efficiency declines. Consider nitrogen efficiency. Many farms now apply fertilizer with extraordinary spatial accuracy. Variable rate maps ensure nutrients reach exactly where crops demand them. But across many regions, nitrogen application rates continue rising. Why? Because soils increasingly fail to cycle nutrients biologically. Microbial mineralization declines. Carbon levels drop. So fertilizer replaces biological function. Precision application hides dependency growth. The map looks smarter. The soil becomes poorer. Farmers celebrate reduced overlap while ignoring increased total requirement. That difference rarely appears on dashboards. Because dashboards measure placement efficiency, not ecological efficiency. And ecological inefficiency is expensive. It shows up as higher annual input reliance, greater sensitivity to weather swings, reduced yield stability, increasing break-even thresholds. The farm produces well, but requires more energy, capital, and intervention to do so. That is not efficiency. That is escalation. Precision agriculture unintentionally created a feedback loop. Declining soil function increases variability. Variability justifies more technology. Technology increases capital burden. Capital burden demands higher output. Higher output accelerates soil stress. And the cycle repeats. Each upgrade feels logical. Each season feels necessary. But profitability drifts further away from biological reality. The tragedy is not technological adoption. Technology itself is neutral. The tragedy is believing data visibility equals system improvement. Because some of the most dangerous losses are invisible to digital systems. Loss of aggregation, loss of microbial diversity, loss of infiltration capacity, loss of nutrient retention. None appear on yield maps immediately, but all appear later on financial statements. Precision agriculture makes farms incredibly good at managing decline slowly. And slow decline rarely triggers alarm. Until one season doesn't recover. Until input costs spike beyond tolerance. Until debt servicing consumes operational flexibility. Then suddenly, the problem appears urgent. Even though it began decades earlier. The industry continues promoting greater precision as the solution. More sensors, more automation, more analytics. But what if the real competitive advantage in future agriculture isn't precision, but biological efficiency? What if profitability returns not by managing inputs better, but by needing fewer inputs at all? That possibility challenges the entire technological narrative of modern farming, and confronting it requires questioning something few farmers were encouraged to question. Whether progress has been measured correctly from the beginning. Because the next stage of agriculture will separate farms that optimize machinery from farms that restore living systems. And that divide is already forming. Modern agriculture rarely collapses overnight. It expands itself into vulnerability. One upgrade at a time. A larger planter increases efficiency. A more powerful tractor reduces time per acre. A smarter sprayer improves application accuracy. Every decision makes operational sense in isolation. And that's exactly why over-mechanization spreads so easily. No farmer wakes up planning to become over-leveraged. They modernize. They scale. They stay competitive, because standing still in agriculture feels like moving backward. Equipment manufacturers understand this psychology perfectly. New machinery is never marketed as luxury. It is framed as survival. Higher efficiency, lower labor dependency, better timing windows, greater productivity per operator. And for a while, those promises appear true. One operator can now manage thousands of acres. Field operations move faster than ever before. Planting windows shrink, harvest efficiency improves. From the outside, the modern farm looks unstoppable. But beneath that efficiency lies a structural shift few people openly discuss. Farms stopped buying equipment for productivity. They started buying equipment to maintain previous productivity levels. And that difference changes everything. Because modern machinery carries an invisible requirement. It must stay moving. High capital equipment demands high annual utilization. Payments do not care about soil conditions. Interest does not adjust to rainfall variability. Depreciation continues whether yields rise or fall. So farms expand acreage to justify machinery. Expansion increases operational complexity. Complexity increases dependency on technology. Dependency increases financial exposure. And slowly, machinery stops serving the farm. The farm begins serving the machinery. This is the hidden debt machine. Precision agriculture accelerates this process because technology integrates directly into equipment ecosystems. A tractor is no longer just steel and hydraulics. It is software, licensing, connectivity, proprietary systems, repair restrictions, upgrade cycles shorten. 5-year-old machines begin feeling outdated. 10-year-old equipment struggles with compatibility. Replacement becomes normalized, and replacement requires financing. Across North America, machinery debt has quietly become one of the largest risk factors in farm sustainability. Not because farmers are irresponsible, because the system rewards scale-dependent efficiency. Bigger equipment lowers cost per acre only if acreage continues growing, but acreage expansion introduces new risks. More fuel exposure, more labor coordination, more weather vulnerability across regions, more logistical pressure during narrow seasonal windows. Precision technology allows farms to operate at massive scale, but scale amplifies consequences. A delayed planting season on a small farm is stressful. On a highly mechanized operation, it becomes financially dangerous, because fixed costs remain enormous regardless of outcome. And here's where biological degradation re-enters the story. When soil health declines, yield stability declines. Variability increases between seasons, but high-capital farms cannot tolerate variability. They require consistency to service debt, so inputs increase to stabilize production. More fertilizer, more chemical intervention, more corrective applications. Each input attempts to force predictability onto an unpredictable biological system. Technology coordinates intervention perfectly, but intervention itself becomes permanent. The farm transitions from managing growth to preventing failure. This distinction rarely appears in financial reports. Revenue may remain strong, yield averages may look competitive, but operational stress rises, margins thin, risk tolerance disappears. Many farmers describe feeling trapped despite running technologically advanced operations. They own better equipment than ever before, generate more data than ever before, produce high yields, yet experience less financial breathing room. That contradiction isn't psychological, it's structural. Over-mechanization converts variable biological risk into fixed financial obligation. Nature used to absorb uncertainty. Now loan structures absorb it, and loans are far less forgiving than soil. Precision farming unintentionally reinforces this cycle, because data constantly identifies small inefficiencies. A slower pass here, an overlap there, a marginal yield loss zone. Each inefficiency suggests another upgrade opportunity, another investment justified by optimization logic. But optimization has diminishing returns. The first mechanization leap transformed agriculture. The second improved labor efficiency. The third enhanced timing precision. By the fourth and fifth technological layers, gains become incremental while costs remain exponential. 2% efficiency gains rarely offset million-dollar capital exposure. Yet farms continue upgrading because competitive pressure demands parity. Nobody wants to be the least advanced operation in the county. Technology becomes reputation, modernization becomes identity, and questioning it feels like regression. But history shows something important. Agricultural revolutions succeed when they reduce dependency, not when they increase it. The tractor reduced labor dependency. Hybrid seeds increased productivity stability. Irrigation reduced rainfall dependency. Many modern precision systems do something different. They reduce operator error while increasing financial dependency. And dependency compounds risk quietly, especially when combined with biologically weakened soils. Because degraded soils demand intervention precisely when financial flexibility is lowest. A drought year exposes everything. Input-heavy systems struggle first. Debt-heavy systems tighten fastest. Highly optimized operations lose adaptability. Meanwhile, farms investing in biological resilience often display unexpected stability. Lower peak yield perhaps, but lower cost structure, lower input exposure, lower financial stress. Resilience rarely looks impressive on paper. Until volatility arrives. And volatility is becoming agriculture's new constant. Climate instability, input price swings, energy volatility, market uncertainty. Under these conditions, the most dangerous assumption in modern farming may be this: that efficiency equals resilience. It doesn't. Sometimes efficiency removes the very buffers that allow survival. Precision agriculture built incredibly efficient machines. But efficiency without biological strength creates fragile prosperity. And fragile prosperity survives only during favorable conditions. The uncomfortable realization emerging across agriculture is this: many farms are technologically advanced, but economically overextended. Not because farmers failed, because modernization optimized the wrong foundation. And once that realization appears, the next question becomes unavoidable. If machinery precision cannot restore profitability, what actually can? That answer forces agriculture to confront something largely ignored for generations: the living economics beneath the soil surface. For generations, farmers understood soil differently. Not chemically, biologically. Older producers rarely talked about microbial populations or carbon cycling using scientific terminology. But they noticed outcomes: fields that stayed moist longer, crops that recovered after stress, ground that worked easier each season. Productivity was not forced, it accumulated. Somewhere along the path toward modernization, agriculture quietly changed its definition of soil. Soil stopped being a living system. It became a growth medium. A platform designed to hold crops upright while inputs delivered nutrition externally. This shift seemed logical at first. Synthetic fertilizers worked, herbicides simplified weed control, mechanization increased scale, production surged. The Green Revolution proved humanity could dramatically increase yield using chemistry and engineering. But every technological solution carries trade-offs. And agriculture rarely measures long-term biological trade-offs in real time. Because biological decline moves slowly, almost invisibly. Year after year, small changes occur beneath the surface. Organic matter decreases slightly, soil aggregation weakens, microbial diversity narrows, water infiltration slows. Nothing catastrophic happens immediately. Crops still grow, yields remain acceptable, technology compensates. More fertilizer replaces nutrient cycling. More chemical protection replaces ecological balance. More precision ensures timing accuracy. The system continues functioning, but functioning is not the same as efficiency. A biologically active soil performs work for free. Microbes mineralize nutrients. Fungi transport water. Organic matter stores carbon and moisture. Soil structure protects roots from stress. These processes require no diesel fuel, no subscription fees, no replacement parts, no financing. Biology operates continuously, silently reducing operational cost. When biological systems weaken, farms replace free ecosystem services with purchased inputs. And this is where the real operating loss begins. Not in yield reduction, in cost replacement. Farmers often notice fertilizer response declining over time. Higher application rates produce smaller yield gains. Water disappears faster after rainfall. Crops become more sensitive to heat or drought. These symptoms are frequently blamed on weather variability. Sometimes correctly, but often, the deeper cause lies below ground. Sterile soil cannot buffer stress. It reacts instead of stabilizing. Precision agriculture attempts to manage this instability through accuracy. Apply nitrogen exactly when needed. Correct deficiencies immediately. Monitor crop stress remotely. But precision treats symptoms after biological failure has already occurred. It manages emergency response. Healthy soil prevents emergencies. This distinction rarely appears in economic discussions. Because modern accounting separates agronomy from ecology, input costs appear clearly, biological degradation does not. No invoice arrives labeled, loss of microbial function. No annual statement lists, reduced soil resilience expense. Yet farms pay for both every season. Through increased dependency, through rising intervention frequency, through declining efficiency of applied inputs. The irony is almost painful. Agriculture invested billions improving precision above ground, while losing efficiency below ground. Machines became intelligent, soils became exhausted, and exhausted soils require constant supervision. Think about irrigation efficiency. Healthy soil absorbs rainfall like a sponge. Degraded soil sheds water rapidly. Precision irrigation systems compensate beautifully. Sensors optimize application timing. Water delivery becomes accurate, but the need for irrigation itself often increases because soil lost storage capacity. Technology solves the consequence of biological decline, without restoring the cause. The same pattern appears with fertility. Precision nutrient placement improves uptake efficiency. Yet total fertilizer dependency rises. Because natural nutrient cycling weakens. Again, accuracy replaces biology rather than restoring it. This creates a hidden economic inversion. Farms celebrate technological efficiency gains while unknowingly increasing total system cost. The farm appears modern, but profitability quietly erodes. And here lies one of agriculture's most uncomfortable truths. The most advanced farms are not always the most efficient farms. They are often the farms best equipped to compensate for degraded ecological function. Precision agriculture becomes life support, necessary to maintain productivity in systems that once sustained themselves naturally. None of this means technology should disappear. Technology is powerful. Guidance systems reduce fatigue, automation improves safety, data supports decision-making, but technology cannot substitute biological capital. And soil biology is capital, living capital. Unlike machinery, biological capital appreciates when managed correctly. Organic matter increases productivity over time. Microbial networks improve nutrient efficiency annually. Water retention strengthens season after season. Inputs decrease gradually. Risk declines naturally. This is compounding efficiency. Modern agriculture understands financial compounding perfectly, but often ignores biological compounding. Instead, farms operate within extraction cycles. Annual productivity achieved through annual replacement. Nutrients exported. Biology stressed. Inputs reapplied. Precision ensures accuracy within extraction. But extraction itself remains expensive. Eventually, farms reach a threshold where additional precision delivers minimal return. Where higher input accuracy cannot overcome declining biological function. Where profitability stalls despite technological sophistication. At that moment, many producers assume they need newer equipment, better analytics, more advanced systems. Rarely do they consider rebuilding soil as the primary efficiency strategy. Because rebuilding biology feels slower than upgrading machinery. But slow systems often produce stable profits. And stability is becoming agriculture's rarest asset. The future divide in farming may not be technological versus traditional. It may be biological versus mechanical efficiency. One approach reduces dependency, the other manages it, and as volatility increases across global agriculture, dependency becomes increasingly dangerous. Which leads to the final realization. True precision may not come from placing inputs perfectly, but from designing systems that require fewer inputs at all. That realization sets the stage for agriculture's next transformation. One not driven by satellites, but by restoring the economic engine already beneath every field. For decades, agriculture has pursued a simple belief. More technology equals more progress. Bigger machines, smarter software, more precise inputs, and visually, modern farms have never looked more advanced. CAB displays glow with real-time analytics. Equipment drives itself across perfectly mapped fields. Operations resemble aerospace engineering more than traditional farming. From the outside, it appears agriculture has solved inefficiency. But profitability tells another story. Because the farms under the greatest financial pressure today are often not the least advanced. They are the most optimized, highly mechanized, highly digitized, highly dependent, and dependency changes the economics of survival. When every acre requires financing, every season becomes a risk management exercise instead of a biological process. Modern farms increasingly operate in a state of permanent optimization. Every decision must justify equipment payments. Every acre must perform. Every season must succeed. There is no room left for recovery. No margin for ecological rebuilding. No tolerance for temporary decline. And that may be the greatest hidden cost of precision agriculture. It removed time. Biological systems need time to regenerate. Soil restoration requires seasons, not software updates. But debt-driven systems cannot slow down long enough for biology to recover. So intervention continues, inputs increase, precision tightens, technology improves control, while resilience quietly disappears. The uncomfortable truth emerging across global agriculture is this: the future's most profitable farms may not look technologically superior. They may look simpler: lower machinery turnover, reduced input intensity, greater biological function, less operational stress. These farms will not abandon technology. They will reposition it. Technology becomes support, not foundation. Guidance systems assist operators. Data informs observation. Automation reduces labor strain, but profitability returns to biology. Because biology scales differently than machinery. A healthier soil reduces fertilizer demand automatically. Improved structure lowers fuel consumption during fieldwork. Water retention stabilizes yields without additional investment. Microbial activity performs millions of microscopic operations daily, without invoices. This is operational leverage modern agriculture rarely calculates. Precision farming attempted to control variability externally. Biological farming reduces variability internally. One fights nature, the other recruits it, and recruiting biology may become agriculture's greatest competitive advantage in the coming decades. Especially as input volatility increases. Fertilizer markets fluctuate globally. Energy prices swing unpredictably. Chemical resistance expands. Climate variability intensifies. Under these conditions, farms dependent on constant intervention face escalating exposure. Meanwhile, biologically resilient systems absorb shocks more effectively. Not perfectly, but economically. The coming agricultural transition will not be ideological. It will be financial. Farmers will not change practices because of environmental messaging. They will change because balance sheets demand it. Because the question slowly replacing yield obsession is simpler. How much production does this farm require to survive? Instead of, how much production can this farm achieve? That shift marks maturity. Maximum yield and maximum profit are rarely the same outcome. Precision agriculture optimized production. The next agricultural evolution will optimize cost of production. And cost reduction begins where input dependency ends. This does not mean abandoning innovation. It means redefining innovation. Innovation is not always adding complexity. Sometimes innovation removes it. The farms that endure the next 20 years may not win machinery showcases. They may not operate the newest fleets. They may not generate the most data. But they will possess something increasingly rare: margin, flexibility, resilience, biological capital, and perhaps most importantly, freedom from needing perfect seasons to remain profitable. Because the ultimate myth of precision farming was never about technology itself. It was the belief that accuracy alone could replace ecological function, that machines could permanently outperform living systems. Agriculture is beginning to rediscover an older truth. The most advanced farm is not the one controlling nature most aggressively. It is the one requiring the least correction. Precision still matters, but true precision may ultimately mean aligning with biological processes so effectively that fewer corrections are needed at all. The farms that survive will not abandon progress. They will redefine it: less illusion, less dependency, more living efficiency. And when that transition becomes visible, agriculture may realize something unexpected. The future of farming does not lie in escaping nature through technology, but in finally learning how to profit from working with it again.